Okay, welcome to the Sober Podcast. My name is Alex Garner. I've been sober for about 3.5 years, as you guys know. But I wanted to bring on a special guest here today. His name's Clark Bartram, and he is a TikTok expert. But more importantly, he understands the mindset that goes into, in particular, weightlifting and how positive that can be. So I wanted to, obviously, within a Sober Podcast, talk about other options and other opportunities that we can dive into when we are getting sober. So I thought it'd be great to bring Clark on and get his opinion, get his story of how powerful physical activity can be and for our personal health. So yeah, Clark, go ahead if you wanted to talk about yourself or introduce yourself. That's kind of up to you at that point.
All right, but well, thanks for having me, and congratulations on your success. I realize it's a journey that you're on, much like everything in life. I'm currently on a journey myself with a diagnosis of cancer, and
wow.
I understand now more than ever the importance of the mindset and how when you're going through living day by day or one day at a time, as you use in
Right.
recovery, that we must maintain it within the day. If we get too far down the road with any thought of, hey, can I stay sober? Can I walk through this process that I'm going through? Can I lose 50 pounds? It gets overwhelming when you're looking too far down the road. So one of the big things I do is I live by this motto right here, one life. And at the bottom of it, it says, limit one per person, get busy living. On the side, it has my birth date, reminding me that one day I will have a death date as well, where I'm now no longer on this earth. So every single day that I wake up, I try to compartmentalize this day, because this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will be glad and rejoice in it. That's it. It's the end of the story. And it makes it more easy to manage. So in your world, I'm considered what's called a normie, right? I don't have addiction necessarily, but I do understand the power of addiction. And most oftentimes the people that I've experienced, many guys in my program are in various stages of recovery.
Oh, great.
But what we have a tendency to see people do is trade one addiction for another addiction. You see a lot of people on vape pens, just ripping vape pens all day long. You see people spending a ton of time in the gym, and that's just getting extreme with that. So I guess the gym is definitely a better alternative than drinking or vaping. But I guess the question becomes, how do we manage our life in such a way that we're not overwhelmed with whatever it is that we are facing in life?
Right.
And that is the power of the mindset. And that's a layered type of thing. We add layers to our understanding of how to manage our mindset day by day. At the age of 61, I think I'm now more capable than ever to understand and apply these principles that I learned that don't necessarily need to come from a multitude of different places. People have a tendency sometimes to overwhelm themselves with the amount of books they read or the amount of meetings they go to. But if you don't apply the information that you hear from one speaker at an AA meeting, if something resonates and this person says something that you can apply to your life, if you don't apply it, then going to another meeting is just showing up.
Right.
At some point, we have to apply this knowledge to our life, regardless of how hard it might be. And to get through these things in life, it's not easy to pass up going out with your friends. It's not easy to pass up grabbing something that you enjoyed that brought pleasure to your life to a certain point till it didn't bring pleasure anymore. So I think we're all the same. We just have the tendency to categorize ourselves as, I'm going through recovery, I'm going through this. It's all the same thing. We got to get our freaking mind set, period.
Right. I like that a lot. Now, one of the things that you said that a couple of times is overwhelm, right? And how do you deal with overwhelm? Like if you had a client that said, I want to lose 50 pounds and they have no idea how to get there, like what's the step-by-step process, or what's your mindset going into that?
Yeah. Typically what I do is I tell them just to chill out, because overwhelm comes from thinking too damn much.
Right.
We get this anxiety behind trying. because some influencer said you got to be a 1%, some influencer said if you don't get in the cold tub at 4 a.m., you're a bitch. Some influencer said something that makes us feel like we need to do more in order to get the result that we're seeking. When I tell people, do less.
Yeah.
You hear people say that, like there's a phrase now, say less. That's an acknowledgement of, I heard you, right?
Yeah.
Say less, bro. I heard you. I got it. That resonated with me. When I ask people to do less, what I'm recognizing in them is this overwhelm that I see. Well, I'm on the treadmill and I haven't eaten carbs in months, and I get on the scale every single day. And, I went to the doctor, and it's like, whoa, chill out, bro. Chill out. That stress of trying so hard is what's creating a chemical and hormonal response in your body that is making it hard to get the result that you want. So when I start telling people, don't go and do more, like you don't need 5 meetings a day. I don't know. I'm just saying this as a generalized thing.
No.
If you show up to 1 meeting a day and you apply the knowledge from that 1 meeting a day, one little thing, or you maintain applying knowledge that you learned 5 meetings before and it's working, why add something else to cause stress in your life that makes you feel like you're not doing enough, which loops you back? It's like, oh, I just got to have a drink. Oh, I just got to, eat a whole pizza. Whatever the comfort go-to mechanism is, we all have it. We all go to it.
Right.
But more is not better.
Right.
So I sit there with these people and I'm like, chill out. And it's really funny because my son and he managed a climbing wall, and we would go to these corporate events and they would have all these coaches talking to these young associates who were working their way through an accounting firm.
Right.
And there would be this coach that we would always hear off to the side that we would make fun of, because every single time we showed up, he said the same thing. But little did I know that I would start using what I heard him saying, because there came a point in my time when it made sense.
Right.
He said, get off the balcony, or get out of off the dance floor and onto the balcony.
Yeah.
What he was saying was, get out of the emotion and all of the energy of what's going on and be at a place where you can observe,
right,
and not be caught up in the feelings, the emotion, the overwhelm. And it's easier to manage your life from a position of observer as opposed to involvement.
Right.
And that's what I tell people to do. I'm like, step out, observe, and look at the areas of your life that are causing you to struggle, that are causing you to want to go back to whatever it was that brought you this temporary comfort.
Yeah. No, there's so many things ringing in my head, or just kind of firing off. The first thing is, when somebody's trying to get sober or has thoughts about it, they're hearing opinions from all different people. They're and people that they respect and that they love, just quit, right? Well, they don't understand it, right? So they're hearing all these different opinions, and it's hard to decipher what's right for that individual. So I like the idea of just chilling out and then going inward, right? And that's kind of what I teach with meditation, right? So I was going to ask you, what ways do you use to get out of the emotion and become that observer?
Yeah. So let me address what you said first about the overwhelm of the amount of people, caring people who want the best for you, people who have anecdotal advice at best that they think is going to work for you. I got the exact same thing when I got my diagnosis of cancer. I had all sorts of people coming at me, shooting the fire hose of information, like, you need to do soursop, you eat any apricot seeds, you do coffee enemas, go to Mexico and don't eat anything, fast for 10 days, only eat meat, only eat vegetables. Yeah. Everybody has an opinion, and it's all anecdotal. It literally means nothing. So what we need to do as people who are being the ones that information is directed at, we have to lovingly shut down 99% of those people, find a source of information or sponsor, because you've chosen that person to be your guide. You've chosen that person to be vulnerable with. You've chosen that person to give your phone number to. You've chosen that person to say, if I don't pick up, come find me. Right? These are all things that I know and understand working with people who've in recovery. So one of my best coaches is 30 years clean now. And he's one of my best coaches because of all of the experience that he has. So that would be what I would recommend regarding all of that. Not that their information isn't correct, but if it's not correct for you and it's causing too much, you just got to say, hey, bro, I love you. But would you mind, please, not texting me, calling me, or anything with that information? If I need anything, bro, I'll reach out to you. I love you, man. Boom. And then done. So people who really care will shut up at that point.
Right.
So as far as me kind of finding a place for myself, I'm not one of these guys that says I get up every morning at 5 and I go out in my cold plunge and I do all of that. I have all of those things and I use them intermittently and randomly as needed. I don't feel, for me, I necessarily need a structured every single day up at 4, do this, because that then becomes a thing that causes stress. If I don't do that, I don't worry about it. I go through my life very lighthearted and carefree. That's kind of like my mantra for my life that I want. Lighthearted and carefree. And I'm not really a baseball fan, but it's the playoffs right now,
NLCS,
right? Towards the World Series. The Dodgers were playing the Padres, and I'm a San Diego guy, so my son and I were watching, but the Padres ended up getting beat. And this is a really great comment that this manager of the Dodgers said. The newscaster was interviewing the manager, and he said, what makes this team so special, or something like that? And he says, are we live? Yes, we're live. We don't give a fuck. And I became a Dodger fan for life as long as that guy's there because of that attitude.
Yeah.
That's the attitude that I approach my life, that I literally don't give a fuck. And it's not that I don't love people. It's not that I don't care. I just don't put any weight on anything that people think I should be doing.
Yeah.
Like me just saying fuck, for example. There are people in my circle who will go, Clark, that's a bad word. I don't even have time for that conversation. I don't have time for that conversation because for me, I know when I put my head down on my pillow, and I think this is a good takeaway for anyone listening to this. When I put my head down on my pillow at night, I'm confident in who I am and what I've done and how I've moved through my life. And if there was anything in that day, this is the day that the Lord has made, that I felt that I did that wasn't in alignment with who I am as a person, I'll correct it.
Yeah. That's the most important part, is doing that, right? And having that time to reflect on the day, right? So I love that. I hear you on the on like reflecting and making sure that like you're comfortable with who you are when you go to bed. And that's awesome. But I think a lot of the listeners here, they don't even know who they are, right? So how did you get to that point where you're so confident in yourself and you are like your mindset is so strong? How did you get to that point, you feel like?
Walking through my life day by day and understanding that I am who I am every single day, and who I am changes every single day. And the moment I accept the good, the bad, and the ugly of who I am, accept the parts that are hard to accept, like we had just talked about, correcting a mistake, apologizing to someone, swallowing your pride, taking wise counsel. I couldn't imagine, well, I can imagine, I know exactly how it feels when you're working through a sober lifestyle and you mess up and you have to face that one person that you've given free reign to say whatever they need to say to you to get you back on track. You're sitting there in that moment with your heart and your throat closed up like, man, I screwed up. I got to take this. But taking that and knowing that that's going to make you better only makes you more confident and stronger. So at a point in my life, probably honestly within the last 10 years, I started to really enjoy the process of being in a counselor's office and have that counselor challenge me, or with one of my mentors in my life say, Clark, you really need to do this differently because what I just heard or what I just witnessed isn't a good look for you, bro. And not pushing back. And when you have, for me at least, the ability to do that from people that you care about, it could be your kid. One time I came home from a trip And I walked in and I like my house clean, especially when I show up from a trip. I walked in and it wasn't the way I expected it to. And my son said to me, "Hey man, you just ruined all the energy in the house." And I thought about it for a second. And I had a really big shift at that point in my life because I realized that, yeah, I did do that to these people that were operating in their world.
Right.
And I just suddenly show up out of nowhere and expect everything to change. And when I was able to take that from my son, now this is a relationship where I'm supposed to be in charge. I'm the dad. I'm the guy, this and that. But I got to a stage in my life where I realized that the people that I care about and the people that I entrust in my circle, I need to be open to correction from them. And I need to be open to getting coaching from them, or however we want to call it.
Right.
When I was able to really do that, that gave me this belief in myself, like, I have the ability to grow.
Right.
I have the ability to become a better person. I'm not holding on to this bravado of, I'm Clark Bartram, look at me, I'm the guy on all the magazine covers, this and that and the other thing, where that was a part of my life for a while.
Yeah.
I think letting go of things, like there seems to be this little theme now of letting go of stuff.
Right.
It's adding more. It wasn't more money that made me confident. It wasn't more muscles that made me confident. I think it was more humility that made me confident.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite the lesson. I think, I relate with that so much because I used to live in Los Angeles in Beverly Hills, right? And at a young age, and I was doing my thing, and then I got addicted and it all to cocaine, and it just all washed away. And I was in that mindset for a long time that I lost, I had hit my peak, right? And now that I'm 10 years older and I look back at that, it's just silly at this point. But I felt that, right? And I felt that way. And that's real. But recently, one thing I wanted to share with you is the one thing I teach is the definition of acceptance. You are agreeing to something being offered. Right. So when you accept something, you're actually receiving something back, and that's peace. Right. That was a total game changer for me because I was like, wow, I'm actually getting something out of letting something go. Right. And that's been the theme in my life, is surrendering and giving it up and trusting kind of that inner, I call it the inner Buddha, or whatever you believe in, your higher power or whatever that is. So that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that.
It's kind of the same thing. We're same deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to ask you, this is just a personal question. How much does our diet affect our health, or if somebody wants to lose 50 pounds, how much do you think is diet versus how they work out?
Yeah. So that's a common question that every trainer gets throughout life. And I don't think anyone knows this, but food is the most powerful drug that you'll put in your body. It's more powerful than cocaine. It's more powerful than alcohol, because we're doing it more consistently than anything else.
Right.
And it causes a chemical and a hormonal response in our body. So if I were to say, miss one or the other, never miss a meal when, you're intending to get nutrients into your body. There's fasting and things like that. So all of that aside, if you're going to skip something, and you're really into improving the way your body looks, then being on track with your nutrition is vitally important, because those nutrients are the drugs that are feeding your body. So if you look at a pharmacy, I heard someone say, spell it FARM instead of PHARM. So the farm is where you get your drugs from. The earth is where it comes from.
Right.
And then as far as the general question of what's more important, nutrition or training, the mindset trumps them both.
Oh, wow.
Because what matters is sustainability. So I could tell you, get on the keto diet or do intermittent fasting. If your mind's not set to do anything that you'll see on the internet that people are convincing you is the best, and they all work, if your mind is not set, you're not going to maintain this. So it doesn't matter anyway.
Right.
The only reason I look the way I look at the age that I'm at is because I have been probably the most consistent person you've ever talked to.
Right.
And I can say that with confidence because I know the work that I put in from a young age all the way up until now, through the Marine Corps and the gym business and bodybuilding and modeling and acting and all of the things that required a physical prowess that kept me where I'm at. And to this day, I could shoot a magazine cover right now.
Right.
I've maintained a level, but it wasn't because I was on the keto or the intermittent diet. It's because I set my mind to being the best at what I do.
Yeah. Okay. So like, I know this is a broad question, but if you could break it down into 5 steps, if you could break it down, I probably should have prompted you with this before this, but if
No, you shouldn't have, because I got them right here. I live by them.
Let's do it.
Mindset, meals, movement, community, and integrity. These are my 5 lifestyle principles that I teach all through my office. It's everywhere, up on this wall.
Yeah.
It's there. It is the cornerstone, the foundation, the absolute way that I've helped thousands of men transform not only their bodies, but their lives, their businesses, their relationships, everything in between.
Yeah.
So we start with the mindset. That's what I teach guys. Years ago, I had a marketer, friend of mine, tell me, Clark, don't talk about mindset to people because they don't want to hear it. It's not sexy. It's not sellable. It doesn't work. And I didn't listen to him. And the program I tried to promote with mindset, it didn't do well at all, because we live in a world where people want the quick fix.
Right.
But I, being me, don't give a fuck.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, if you're going to work with me, we're getting your mindset. If you don't want to admit that that is the thing that's held you back from whatever it is you want in your life, being sober, all of it, then go find a trainer that's going to sell you a $97 ebook and send you off on your own to fail again.
Right.
But when you come to my world, we're going to talk about mindset. Then we're going to talk about your meals. Then we're going to talk about your movement. Then we're going to talk about community, and that's big in your world.
Right.
Then we're going to talk about integrity. And integrity has a couple layers to it with regards to how I interpret integrity. It's our life and what we're doing when no one's looking, but it's also, how am I reporting to you as my sponsor? Am I really being honest with you?
Right.
Am I telling you? Maybe I didn't drink, but maybe I was at the brewery down the street because I wanted some pizza.
Right.
But I was in the middle of 30 people drinking beer.
Yeah.
I was looking around like, I kind of want one. That's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
But if I tell you, there's no integrity there, so I can't help you.
Right.
So this is what I teach my guys, and it works every single time.
Yeah. Honesty is like the most important thing. And I think in, one of the things I teach is how, which is how to get sober, HOW, which is honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, right? Like, but honesty is first. You have to be honest with where you're at with me as a coach, right? Like I can't help you if I don't know where you're at. But okay, so out of those 5, the one that's most interesting to me, obviously, is the mindset. So without giving away your program, how important would you say discipline is in the mindset? And how do you cultivate discipline when you don't seem to have any?
Yeah, that's a tough one right there. And I'll give away my program, and I do all the time, because it's not mine. It never was mine.
I got you. Yeah.
I'm simply a conduit of this information.
Right.
So I try not to jump into the deep end of the pool right away with discipline, because that makes people feel like a failure if they don't feel they have it. But I slowly introduced the concept of, we all have discipline. It's just a matter of where we choose to apply it. And the example I always give is, there's typically somebody always at the off-ramp of the freeway holding up a sign asking for money. And we would look at them and call them a bum, call them a loser, call them all of this. But I push back and say that requires a lot of discipline.
Right.
To show up every day in the face of all of those names,
judging you,
all of that negative energy, you know, kids don't look, all of this. Because I went undercover as a homeless person before.
Oh, wow.
Got the whole thing, stood out there for hours, did it. So I use that, and then I slowly bring people into the understanding that they do in fact have the discipline they need It's just a matter of applying it to this area of their life where they've not yet applied it. So I don't put them on the hook. I give them permission to kind of move in this direction. And I'm not forcing them. I'm not causing them to feel less than, like I got more discipline than you. I was a Marine and I wake up every day and get in the cold plunge. Yeah. I am so vulnerable and so honest about my life to my guys in my coaching program. It gives them the permission to now start opening up and admit areas of their life that they know. They're just waiting to tell someone. They know they're lacking discipline in this area. And when I show up on one of my Zoom calls, like I did 3 weeks ago, and say, guys, listen, I don't even feel qualified to be talking on this Zoom call right now, because if you would have saw me last night, it would have been embarrassing. I'm going to tell you. And I open up. Yeah. And then guys look at me. When they looked at me before, like this guy that they could never, they'll never look like Clark. But when I say, I was a piece of shit to my wife, or I acted out, or I didn't lay my head on my pillow last night feeling happy with who I was that day, then they now go, it's safe. How important is it for you to make people feel safe?
Right. It's then to give them the too, for sure. Yeah, I like that a lot. Community. I wanted to touch on that too. I love seeing the parallels here, by the way, right? Like it's like you said, we all have problems, right? But they're all addressed, it seems like, in the same way with the mindset. So with community, there's a saying, like in the recovery community, that the opposite of addiction is connection, right? And how important it is for the community, like you don't have to tell everybody everything, but you have to tell somebody something, is what I say, right? Like, have somebody in your life for that. So how important is community in your space, you feel like, and having that other, like almost not accountability, but how do you decipher between accountability and being a help of somebody and not enabling them, I guess?
It is accountability 100%. I make it very clear. And I would say that a community in my world is as equally as important as it is in your world. I would say that next to AA and NA, I have built the best community on planet Earth.
Awesome.
And I can sit here and look you straight in the face, and anyone could come to me and say, Clark, really, you feel that way? Absolutely. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, because I'm in my community and I am a part of my community, and I watch it, and I tell guys, you're only committed to what you confess. So when you come into my community, I need you to tell us what it is that we need to help you with. What we need to watch out for. What are your tendencies that we know to look for that will cause you to dip out and go dark? Because we know people, when shit starts hitting the fan, they dip out and go dark. So I want to know those things, so you're committed to that confession. A mentor of mine years ago taught me that. Dr. Ed Cole said, you're only committed to what you confess. So I make them let me know, and everybody else in the community, by shooting a video. Hi, my name's Clark Bartram. I'm from San Diego, California. I am here because I want to put on 15 pounds of muscle. In the past, typically I would start gaining a couple pounds, and then I would slip up and I would just quit. So please help me, because I don't want to quit. I really want to get the results this time. And the way you can know I'm quitting is if I don't show up for like 2 days, come find me. Now we know. Now we know it's done. Every single guy comes in and does that. But here's how important community is. One of my coaches, the one that I referred to, has got 30 years sobriety. He said, Coach, I need you every day this week to show up in my group and just tell the guys what you're doing. They're really interested in your life. You got a cool life. Last night, I showed up at his yogurt shop an hour and a half away from me, because he just created a protein yogurt that he owns. Obviously, he owns a yogurt store. And I show up outside of his yogurt shop with my phone, posting that in the community. I said, as the main coach, when someone asks me what to do, you know what I do? I show up. So every day this week, I've been posting because he asked me to. So I'm not above anyone else. I'm in it. Guys, see me. If I say get on the treadmill at 5 a.m., if you don't have time, I'm saying it from the treadmill at 5 a.m.
It's so important to to be the person that you're portraying to. And that gets lost in like in influencers, right? Like they kind of almost like act like different person when they're in front of the camera. So that motivates me to be like that, but that's really inspiring. So thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
One thing that you said that I loved was you said like you don't have like a routine, right? But you have like a toolbox that you go to of things that you know will work at certain times, right? And that's like the same thing that I try to teach my clients is, look, here's a lot of tools. See what works for you. They're all going to work because that's how the brain functions, but what works the best for you? And then when you have a craving or you have a trigger, you're like, boom, you're like, this is what I've been training for. And you go and you use the thing in your toolbox, right? So how important has that been to drop that, like that routine? Because everybody's out there saying, get a routine, morning routine, nightly routine, all this stuff, right? So how important was that for you to drop that? And why has that been producing results for you?
It's been so refreshing for me, I think is the word that came to my mind right away when you were asking that question. I was just in the gym today, and I don't do sets, reps. I don't have any certain exercises that I do. The post that I made in the group yesterday, based upon the prompt from my coach, Rob, was, hey guys, here's what your coach is doing today. I'm using every machine in this gym that I never use. Because when I was on a routine, just doing the same thing over and over again, this became mundane. It became boring. Right. But you know what refreshed me in the gym? I tried this one. I tried that one. And they weren't necessarily for a body part.
Right.
Because I realize in my mind, and I need you to realize this too, we're in it for the long haul.
Right.
We're not doing it for 12 weeks. We're not doing it for a photo shoot. So it all comes out in the end.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Just move your body.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah. There's so many correlations here. I love it. So this has been really, really beneficial. Do you do any like breath work or meditation or anything like that? Does that help your mindset personally?
Yeah, for sure. So we just had an event here at my house. I was unable to attend because I was in Germany getting treatment. But Jeremy Jackson, he played Hobie on Baywatch. So he's a very famous guy. And Jeremy Jackson is now one of the best breathwork practitioners that there is.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Yeah, he actually was here one day with just me, and he took me and my son into my bedroom, and he did a breathwork session on us. And I had the most amazing experience ever. Now, do I do this on a consistent basis? No, but I want to mention how powerful breathwork is if you are someone who's looking into this, because it's the thing now, right? But I literally left my body. I was melted half into the ground and half out of the ground. I was laughing and crying. I was on the cutting edge. I didn't know what was going on. I left. He asked me to hold my breath for 1 minute. I'm thinking, there's no way. I'm not a good breath holder at all.
Yeah.
I swear to you, in the midst of that, I never needed to breathe again.
Yeah.
I knew. I said, I don't need to take another breath.
Yeah.
I asked him afterwards how long I held my breath for. He said like 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's insane, isn't it? It's so powerful.
I didn't need to breathe ever again.
Yeah.
Then when I was done, I couldn't get off the ground. I was literally paralyzed.
Yeah.
I couldn't move. I'm like, and they left. My son and Jeremy left. And then when I was finally able to peel myself off the ground, I barely made it to the couch. And then I passed out for 2 hours.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
So breathwork
it sounds
real.
like
It
you did the
releases
Wim Hof.
DMT. It does a lot of the same things.
Right.
That's the lie of the enemy. That's the lie of the world, that we need something to get us to that place that we're all chasing.
Right. You can do it naturally.
Your body has it.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
I can leave my body in my cold plunge.
Yeah.
I've done contrast therapy enough. I can go in my hot tub, sit in there, put on headphones, meditate, just listening to 8D. If you go on YouTube and type 8D awesome. Music, put on 8D. So I sit there, then I go in the cold plunge, and I sit in that cold plunge. People are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm gone.
Not. You're not in this community. You're not.
Okay.
Body. Yeah.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I know I'm gone because when I get up and come out, my dog, my little Walter and my little Norman look at me like,
who are you?
Because my Clark energy is not in
Right.
the shell.
Yeah. 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 It's
It
glowing.
still hasn't fully come back yet. And I can feel it when I'm walking. And I get scared to the point of, am I going to come back?
Right.
You know the
Yeah.
feeling? Am
Yeah.
I going to come back?
Yeah.
But
It's
dude,
like
it's
you're
so
tripping.
cool.
Yeah, it's like you're tripping. Like that's one thing. Like there's natural ways to get like you get high from lifting, running, and like there's natural ways to feel these ways, guys. Like that's what's like that I've experienced. Like breath work, same thing. It sounds like you did a Wim Hof, like that it's called Wim Hof or this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I think it sounds like that where you hold your breath. But yeah, those are very powerful. But there's other ways for breath work, like how to breathe. Like, and this is what yoga opened up to me. Was how to breathe throughout a regular day. You don't have to lay down and have an out-of-body experience. You can learn how to breathe throughout your day that helps you, right? And that's kind of, I didn't know if you've done any research on that, where like certain breath work while you're lifting, right? Like, is there a certain like that helps while you're lifting to lift
just
more?
breathing in general. Most people don't breathe when they lift. And I always use this example.
Right.
Two things. One, I always quiz people. What is the only exercise you should do holding your breath?
Underwater.
Swimming.
Yeah.
Okay? And then the other thing I say is this. Our body is so amazing. Our subconscious takes care of so many functions of our body. Breathing is one of them. The first thing you do when you're born onto this earth is take a breath.
Right.
The last thing you do before you leave this earth is take a breath. I've literally seen humans go,
yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Everywhere in between that dash, we never have to think about taking a breath ever.
Yeah.
But if you do think about it and you become conscious of it and you breathe intentionally, it changes everything. I coach football and I'll tell kids, they mess up, they come out, they're lining up to get ready to go run a route. And I'm like, take a breath.
Yeah.
Changes everything.
Yeah.
Breath. Walking out on stage to speak, take a breath. You're mad at someone, take a breath.
Yeah.
You can apply take a breath to every freaking thing on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
We just never have to think about it. That's how entitled we are as humans, because this fucking thing does everything.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love the breath. I've been studying that for like a year and a half now, and it's very, very powerful. Dan Brule is the one that I went to for breath work, and he's like a OG with it. But yeah, it's awesome. It changes everything. So that's another way to overcome for my listening audience. Like these are simple things to do, but it's hard to implement, right? It's hard to implement conscious breathing sometimes because you have to think about it. So those are the habits that you have to create. And when you have a craving or a trigger and you feel like I've had cravings and triggers where I felt like I just used, right? Like, because the body replays it. And I don't mean just drinking. I mean like hard drugs. So like, it's weird. The body kind of like replaces that, or it knows that feeling. So it duplicates it. Take a freaking breath, right? It's very, very powerful, but it's hard to implement, right? So some of these things that are easy to do once you learn them, but hard to implement. What's your implementation process for like a new habit? Like, or like, yeah.
Don't let starting stop you is the thing that I tell people all the time. So new habit, right? We have this tendency to think, oh, I'll do it Monday. The new habit from the people that I operate with is like the mindset, the meals, movement, community integrity. When I talk to them, okay, I'll get started on Monday, or I'll get started after I go on this trip, or January 1st, I'm just going to go ahead and, live the rest out and just get it all out of my system. That's like someone saying, I'm going to get all the drinking out of my system. Really?
Right. Right.
Come on, bro. You know that's an ignorant statement. Yeah. So I stop people in their tracks, and it's the starting that's stopping them. It's like, no, we can start today.
Right.
Right now. Why? I mean, you're already 30 pounds overweight. You're already ate all of the shit. What is waiting till Monday going to do for you?
Right.
Other than give you a reason to make more excuses to wait till the next Monday. So if you started today, so I'm telling everyone right now, if you start an exercise program today with my 5 principles, you will be in shape by January 1st when your mind is telling you, I'm going to wait until January 1st to start. So what kind of sense would it make for any human? living in this beautiful organism that we have to go, I'm just going to fucking wait and eat more and get fatter and get lazier and get more gluttonous. And yeah, I'm saying that because that's what we are.
Yeah.
That's our natural go-to. It's discipline is not our natural go-to. Treating ourselves good is not our natural go-to. If it was, you wouldn't walk you can't go to any restaurant, any retail store, anywhere without seeing the majority of the people being fat and out of shape.
Right.
In our advanced Western culture,
right.
with a gym on every corner and a trainer on every TikTok thing and all of it. Why is this? Because we're lazy.
Yeah.
We make excuses. If anyone gets their feelings hurt,
good.
Good. I don't care. You know why? Because I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I know when you come into my world, your life is going this way.
Yeah.
You're going to get better and you're going to love me at the end. Just like I loved my drill instructors after 16 weeks of boot camp. I hated them at first.
Yeah.
But I realized they were there to make me a Marine.
Right.
Make me strong, make me disciplined, make me who I am today.
Yeah.
With the respect of breathing, like let's do this once real quick. I want to prove to people how anxious we are to get to the next thing. So let's stop and just take 3 breaths. Slow and controlled, not even Wim Hof or box or any of these things, just 3 freaking breaths, and watch how anxious our mind gets to stop and get to the next topic. Ready? Here we go.
Right.
So here's what I do when I do that with people. So the next layer I go to is, okay, put your hand on your heart now. Okay, now let's add a smile. Let's sit up nice and tall. Now let's add, I am powerful. I feel better already, man.
Yeah.
Literally, bro, we were there for 30 seconds.
And the more you do it, the better it gets too, is what I found. Right.
And even me kind of leading this, at first I started thinking, oh God, everyone thinks I'm weird. Oh, I got to stop. And my son gave me this great example. Have you ever been eating and you chew so fast to swallow to get the next bite?
Right. And you don't enjoy it. Yeah.
We're not intentional about anything.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
And actually, it was my son, we were talking about this. He brought up, we were watching people eating with chopsticks.
Yeah.
Chopsticks are meant to slow you down.
Right.
What did we do? We invented spoons.
Yeah. And forks.
Shovels.
Shovel it in. Yeah.
We lost our intention. Prayer was meant to get obviously to give thanks, but it gives our stomach, and we're shifting from one energy to another.
Right.
Cooking food that takes time, smelling the food gets our enzymes going.
Right. And we're all about
eating the other day.
Throw it in the microwave, the oven, do it for us. And
yeah, you don't smell any of that. The other day, I was at dinner with a buddy of mine. His girlfriend is Eastern European.
Mm-hmm.
So the waiter came over and he's there. He's like, can I take your order? She said, no, we're fine.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm fucking ready to eat.
Yeah.
He came back and he said something else. She said, oh no, slowly.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I was reminded, I got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Slow down. Conversation was great. One thing showed up. I was intentional. I was relaxing. And I'm telling you, man, if we could all take away something from this, for me, this is what I'm taking away. I'm going to slow down.
Yeah. That's what I just wrote down. Slow down. That's funny. Yeah, for sure. As long as you go in with intention, you can get something out of everything in life. Like you can learn a lesson out of everything. And when you become more aware, you see that, right? And that's like, there's power in awareness. Absolutely. So yeah, I love this. I have two final questions for you, just kind of not fun, but they're kind of fun ones. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever given or you've received?
Best piece of advice I've ever given. Well, I've given out lots of really good advice over the years. I don't think any one thing necessarily stands out other than get busy living, right?
Yeah,
It's here, it's up there. A lot of people are so caught up because they're so busy, because they're so focused on making a dollar. They're so focused on all of these things that at the end of the day, really, really, really don't matter.
right.
They don't. When you hear the words, we found cancer, it shifts your perspective on life. And I've had this in my office forever, but it really made it more real to me.
Yeah, it meant something different, right? Yeah.
It means something different.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about life is we learn in layers.
Mm-hmm.
Read a book, we get it, 3 months later, we read that same book because of life's experience.
Exactly.
We now learn something new
Right.
in that book. That's why you don't need to read 50 million books a week.
Just pick one.
Right. So
yeah.
Getting busy living is probably the thing that I see affecting the most people in real time because of my coaching program. I'm watching grown men over the age of 50, all very successful, saying these things. They're posting this up in the group. They're talking about getting a tattoo of this. So when I see guys literally getting busy living, enjoying their life, running a Spartan race when they never would have done it before, I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is super cool.
Yeah.
And the best piece of advice I probably received, it's probably recently here from one of my mentors where he just told me that I need to be less about me and more about other people, my wife, my kids. Like I'm in control of me. I know this. Like I don't need to worry about this. He sent me a video, and the video meant a lot for me to understand that me doing this, like putting back out to people in a loving, caring way is really what's important.
Yeah. Service is, like in the sobriety world, service is so important. Like that's what, you get. You can't give what you don't have at the first thing, but then once you have it, you just want to give it away, right? It's like almost learning secrets to the universe, and like you feel almost responsible for getting it out there. And then final question, what's the worst piece of advice that you've ever not given, but you've received?
Boy, there's a ton of it here lately. Going back to the comment we made when someone is trying to get sober or someone gets a diagnosis, all of this information that comes at you. There's a ton of misinformed people that mean well, that say things that they have no basis of understanding in. So whether it's intentional or not, it's just really bad advice if you can't understand what's necessary for you. That makes sense?
Yeah.
We're all hearing things from so many different places. We have to be able to, there's a scripture in the Bible, or actually, separate the wheat from the chaff. But there's also another saying that says, take the fish and leave the bones.
Right.
There's a lot of bones in there that literally mean nothing. We have to learn to throw it away and only take the meat from the people that matter. So that takes wisdom. It takes understanding. It takes breathing. It takes being intentional. It takes having your mindset. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I've loved this, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll obviously stay in touch. But is there anything else that you feel like you want to say or get out there? You can talk about your program or just anything, right? Anything that you feel is on your heart, like a burning desire.
Yeah. So my new mission in life since this diagnosis is to make sure that everyone goes out and gets checked, early detection of these things. I think people in your world, especially if they're newly getting sober, they're so focused on that one thing that everything else kind of falls off.
Right.
We need to understand that if you did live a life that was not so nice to your body that it could have caused issues and things that need to be addressed and looked at. So men, go off. Everyone should go get blood work done. Just get your blood work done. Like, getting sober is one thing, but understanding what you did to your body in that process can only be found out through the markers that are in the blood.
Yeah.
And I was doing that just to look at my testosterone, because I'm a drug-free guy that teaches men how to boost testosterone naturally. I saw my PSA was elevated. My doctor said, you might want to go get checked. And it led to getting this diagnosis. And here I am today as an advocate for early detection and just being smart, because a lot of us are not smart. Men specifically, I don't need to go to doctor. I don't want to do that. No one's touching my ass, and, just dumb things that we say.
Yeah.
And now that I'm speaking to you, it really, really makes a whole lot of sense that if we abused our body with cocaine, alcohol, meth, heroin, fentanyl, any of this stuff, that does some stuff in there, man.
Yeah.
Go find out if everything's cool and then move on.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that. I just got biomarkers done. I just did this for the first time since I got sober. And I found out there's 12 biomarkers in my heart. And now I'm like figuring out like what those are all about. Right. So it is very important to go figure that out. I took forever to do it, but yeah, the earlier the better. Right. So I totally am on board with that and agree with that. So listen, thanks, man. I appreciate it more than you know. And best of luck with everything with your business, and just keep being you. You're authentically you, and that's what's awesome. It's great to meet another soul that's like that. So, so thank you again. And I appreciate it.
You need anything from me in the future, just holler.
Okay. All right. Thanks.